everyone, and welcome to the Amazon European Mass. It's a fabulous day to be myself, Initialized, joined by none other than Orcs. My friend, it has been far too long since we've been on the desk.
It's been a hot minute. It's been a while.
It really has.
And I mean, we have a good day to go into it, right? We get to see some of our top teams competing up against each other. We get to see their fate decided. I always love week 2 because I feel like it's so intense, especially when you have like a whole group in one day. So good.
3 games for every team to show that they are worthy of getting out. And of course, we've still got some highlights from, of course, Group D, where some of that's already been decided. What an incredible day where LDLC kind of just put everyone through the ringer and came out undefeated by the time it was all done.
Yeah, I don't think it was a huge surprise, right? LDLC, after dominating the LFL, the expectation is they would come in swinging, and they absolutely delivered yesterday, topping out their group with the undefeated scoreline. And, you know, there were moments where I was like, maybe there's potential.
No
maybe
one tried.
Just contest. The teams definitely tried up against them, but just wasn't quite enough.
And of course, the other team that's been a real hot topic at this European Masters from the group is, of course, Unicorns of Love Sexy Edition, who, again, had a really good showing. They were undefeated for the longest time coming out of play, and then put on another really good day. Couldn't quite bring down LDLC, but could certainly put Adeletto to bed in this one. The way Grant knew, it did get close at 1 or 2 moments.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the thing, is the scoreline, when you look at the day, right, the fact that we see, you know, Unicorns are 4-2, we see LDLC is 6-0. The expectation is that it was kind of a split group where, you know, we have 2 teams really performing, 2 teams not. But I have to say, a lot of the individual games between them, we saw moments, right, these occasions where you thought it could go in the other direction.
You really, really could. And, like, this game's a really good example of it. Like, it was back and forth, Bison's in control for such a long time, and then Unicorns of Love come right back into it. And unfortunately, even when something like the Ezreal just can't quite stay safe enough, and this final win here around the Baron Pit really secured it. But my days, this one got very close.
Yeah, and it was a rough one for Bisons, right? Not just that game, but the entire day, not getting a single win. And, you know, I think people's expectations for them in EU Masters were significantly higher. But I gotta say, Atleta, right, coming into the day with no wins, managing to secure one against Bison's absolutely huge for the region.
It really was, and they've been so deserving of it. Let's not put it any other way. This is a team that really tried. We're so close. A number of other games, like Gabo in particular, had a monster tournament, and they finally come out in this one, and they get the win after an early game where Gooby on the Xerath was an absolute monster to deal with, frankly, and then they turn it around the late game with the Jinx for ends, with Gabo on this side becoming an unkillable beast, and then finally come through to this last game where my days LDLC are quite good, aren't they?
Yeah. They had a pretty strong performance. I think the highlight for me was definitely Ragnar on this Aatrox, who was just an absolute monster in this team fight. You can see this clip here, diving to 5 people, huge amounts of damage, huge amounts of killing, literally felt like it. And there were still moments, right, for Unicorns. They definitely did not have the game they wanted, but towards the end, there was one team fight where Reptile popped off, where it was like, you know, maybe
is there
at the end of the day, there's a reason LDLC are undefeated, and Unicorns, I think they can be happy with 2nd place in the group.
They really can, and they turned it up. And for the Prime League, that is great news for them, because unfortunately, some of the other groups, it's been a little bit less good news for them, though they can try and turn it around. Potentially here today, of course, that we're not getting onto Gamer Legion quite yet, because we've got ourselves some standings to go through. We are, of course, covering Group B today. X7 right now undefeated, and then Karmine Corp and Gamer Legion at 2-1 and 1-2. And unfortunately, Team Phantasma right now 0-3.
Yeah, so I feel like, you know, with this group, things could go really in any direction. We could see Karmine Corp close the gap with X7 and contest for first. We could see Gamer Legion still very much in a run to make it out. Team Phantasma is still technically possible, but they have their work cut out. I feel like, though, you know, we'll get to see how things play out as they go. X7 coming in with that 3-0 scoreline really puts them in a comfortable position.
It really, really does, and they've had a fantastic tournament thus far. To see how they do, of course, the other 2 groups yet to be playing, of course, Group A and C. It will be, of course, Group C tomorrow and Group A on Sunday, so you'll definitely want to tune into those ones as well. But today's schedule right ahead is, of course, Phantasma versus Karmine Corp coming right up, but straight after that is a massive match. X7 Gamer Legion is the one I have my eyes on alongside Karmine Corp versus X7.
Yeah, I think really, you know, Karmine Corp X7 is going to be a massive one, but also Gamer Legion, Karmine Corp, you know.
Of course, yeah.
If everything goes pretty similar to what we saw in the first week, but Gamer Legion beat out Karmine Corp there, we could see a tiebreaker for that 2nd place. But that's the thing with League of Legends. I feel like expectations are always shattered. Things always go amiss. And Team Phantasma, despite not having any wins in the first week, we saw Atleta in a similar spot, and they did manage to claim one in the end. So always have to keep your eyes out. And that's the thing. If you get overconfident, if you really don't respect your opponent, that's where you will drop games.
I mean, honestly, look back to that game that X7 had against Team Phantasma. It was the Diana Yasuo, where they were just picking every single fight they could, whether it was a good idea or not. And it kind of got them into some interesting scenarios. And you do that on another day with another comp where you give up a few more shutdowns and things potentially end up very, very different. So it's been done. And I think that ability to play Blue Shell is something that every single one of these teams, whatever region you are from, whatever expectations you came in with, is something you can do. Be afraid of the last place team in Mario Kart or in League of Legends because they got nothing to lose, and that Blue Shell is always available.
100%. And often we see situations where teams, when they have been knocked out, actually end up getting a buff because there's no longer that pressure, that stress. They just go back to comfort. They're not necessarily trying to adhere to the meta that other teams have set. And that's really where they get to shine. And we see what made them top or close to top of their regions domestically.
All right, well, with that in mind, I think it's time we start turning our eyes to the first game of the day. Of course, it's Team Phantasma up against Karmine Corp, the defending European Masters champions. Last time out, if everyone does remember, it was after Karmine Corp had lost pretty heavily to X7, but then absolutely demolished Phantasma in the response. There's that Phantasma lineup: Bako, Nikolex, Peppe, Vaynedeta, and Sanity. It's a long-standing GLL roster. Bako been there since they joined back the GLL back in 2020. Everyone else, aside from Vaynedeta, was there in 2021, and they really want to prove that they can still play that Blue Shell, as we said.
100%. And I think Bako, he was someone who got really punished by K-Corp in the last game, so hoping to see him step up in this one on K-Corp. Everyone should know this lineup, right? One of the, I'd say, the most famous lineup in the ERLs. Cabochard the top lane, 113 in the jungle, SAKEN in the mid lane, Rekkles in the AD carry role, and Hantera.
I feel like I've seen that name around.
Yeah, I think, for some people who know a little bit of EU history, you'll recognize that name. I don't think...
I've never been to the World's Finals or anything like that before. We couldn't remember it at all.
But I've got to say, K-Corp, I think there's definitely been some issues, right? I mean, the fact that,
yes,
with the roster this stacked, they didn't top the LFL. The fact that even in their games in the EU Masters, it hasn't all been clear sailing. The fact they're not top of the group right now,
Right.
I think this is a roster with incredible talent, but not quite the best team they could be right now.
And I think that's something that when you zoom out and look at Karmine Corp's results over this year, as we've got a little bit of moment to talk about it, it's been weird periods of incredible success and incredible disappointment. The start of the season was not good for Karmine Corp, and they turn it around and have this incredible run to end up towards, I think it's top, they ended up second in the LFL regular season, and they hit playoffs looking to be a contender for first and just bomb out of playoffs. End up in the play-ins where they do pretty well, but there's some mistakes in the early game, and then they come into group stage and get demolished by X7, and then turn it around and demolish Phantasma in turn. Those ups and downs have been so all over the place for this LFL rep.
Yeah, they've for sure been inconsistent, and I feel like this is a team at their best day could even go as far as winning UM, but we have to see a bit more consistency, especially in groups where things really on a knife's edge. One loss in a best of one could be enough to take you out.
Absolutely, and with that in mind, let's head into the Champion Select for the first game of the day. It'll be Phantasma on the blue side, Karmine Corp on the red. Of course, we have been chatting to some of the coaching stuff. Of course, Vasilis the Rock in the background giving us all the info we could ask for Team Phantasma. Really appreciate that, my friend. And what do you need to see out of Phantasma today if they are going to play Blue Shell? Because, again, I remind you, the last time these two teams met, it was just not close, and Karmine Corp blew it out of the water in the fastest game we've seen thus far at EU Masters this year.
Yeah, and you can see already with the bans, they're kind of targeting things that have that early pressure. I think K-Corp,
Right.
the way they played that first game was the mid-jungle roamed up the top and Bako got crushed. He was playing the Malphite into Cabochard's graves, and he just didn't get to play the game. And I think, particularly when domestically Bako's been such a big carry for this team, you need to have a way of contesting that early mid-jungle. You need to have a way of defending your side lanes. And ultimately, I feel like the fact that banning away these strong mid-jungle picks suggests that they feel the same way.
Exactly. I mean, for the record, like in the regular season, Bako is playing Camille, a load of times Gwen, Gnar, Jace. He's got a lot of those champions. The Malphite wasn't really that, and they're still not going to focus towards that quite yet, understandably. But what has been left available with all the bans that have come through, including some of those very high priority options, is something like the Ahri, which has been arguably the premier mid laner available, which, of course, my brother Nymeria is incredibly pleased about. I cannot begin to tell you. And they are just going to lock it straight in here as the first pick.
Yeah, so you have a safe mid, who can contest wave clear reasonably well, and obviously post 6 is very effective in those skirmishes. It does mean, however, though, you're letting go to the other side, a strong ganking jungler for 1-1-3 in the job, and also that Xayah that, internationally we've seen so much priority put towards.
I know, I believe your fellow LPL commentator, Dagda, loves the Xayah, reckons it's the strongest AD carry on the patch right now, but you are potentially going to give up that very dangerous reset to you. Of course, Viego Ahri is a pretty damn good mid-game skirmishing combo. You get one reset, they both get reset. It's a buy one, get one free kind of thing. And now, I've got to think about what else they might want to go towards. I imagine imagine something like an AD carry here.
Yeah, I think AD carry makes a lot of sense, right? They end up going towards the Jinx, and already for me, this composition is one that's going to flourish in the team fights because of the reset potential. You get one kill, and that should be enough. If you know Jarvan is a bit overzealous with his engage and dies, you pretty much have it in the bag that you're going to be able to clean up on the back end. But my concerns weren't about the late stages. 14 Phantasma in his last matchup. It was about the early game, and we see SAKEN looking towards that Ryze, one of his signature picks. You know, you need level 6 for Ahri and Viego to really come online. This Jarvan Ryze combo will make things happen even earlier, and that is my concern coming out here for the side of Team Phantasma. So hopefully they're going to be able to get a support and a top laner who can, you know, top laner can play defensive potentially, and a support who can bridge the gap. But now K-Corp looking towards the bans. They're in a comfortable position, right? Because they can, they have first priority and supports if they need it. Something like the Rakan could even be in mind to pair up with the Xayah, and then also have counter pick for Cabochard if they need it.
With that red side available to them, that is absolutely something they could likely will go towards. On the other side, though, Phantasma deciding to try and get rid of a few of Hantera's playmaking options. Rakan right up there, obviously a very strong pairing with the Xayah as well, so an understandable ban. And I'm assuming another top lane ban here from Karmine Corp to try and nullify some of those easy tank options in the top. So I was going to say nullifying twice and had to look for another word quickly.
Yeah, you know, they could look towards something like the Malphite that came out last time, but honestly, they handled it so well. Zion, probably something that deals better with being on the weak side. And, you know, based on how Keiko played the last match, I feel like Bako is going to be in a rough spot whatever happens here. So hopefully he has a comfortable blind he can lean towards. The Malphite really didn't work out. As you know, you're going to get counterpicked from Cabochard. You know you're going to have a rough time from a Ryze Jarvan. And I feel like if Team Phantasma can stabilize the early game, that's their win con. That's what they can look towards. So see what they come out as a ban. Actually, going for the Lucian as something that Cabochard could potentially bring out in the solo lane.
That's not a bad idea. And we've seen that kind of popping up a little bit here at the Amazon EU Masters. We've seen it around the world a little bit as well, all things said and done. A few of those changes have seen a little bit of a rise in priority for the Lucian. But I've got to see what Karmine Corp want to lock in. Are you expecting this to be the support option for Hantera to give Cabochard that counter pick? I mean, that would make the most sense in my mind.
Yeah, I think so. In my mind, things like Leona and Nautilus, these are like the standard engage supports you just pick up here. I want something like that from Hantera because if you're playing to sort of establish AD control, something like that makes complete sense. The question is what Team Phantasma are going to counteract with. I do feel like, you know, they need engage somewhere from the composition. So whether you take it in the support role, whether you take it in the top lane, they need to have that option available. And ultimately, my big question is what Bako is going to bring out here. What he's going to be able to survive the top lane pressure. They go for the Nautilus, good single target CC, which is great when you're looking for resets. And now the question is what will Bako end up taking? Gnar is often picked as a blind, but Gnar notoriously not the best at surviving dives if he's in mini.
No, I mean, you can hop away to try and get out of the dive, but the moment you're caught under tower, it's a bad time for all involved, or at least the Gnar. And you heard it there from Orcs. I completely agree. It's still going to be locked in, and that's the option here, is something semi-safe. Hantera still going to hover his infamous pike, but I doubt that will be the top lane option. It's not quite 2019, and this is not Wonder in G2 esports.
That'll be an interesting one. We'll see what they end up bringing out. I would love this. They end up taking the Irelia. You know, I've seen a couple of Irelia games. I saw one recently in the LPL. Essentially, into those ranged top laners. Very successful in the 1v1 and good if you can set it up. The big thing is if, right? Typically, a team has to put attention towards the Irelia to make it work. Irelia can't really play the lane if she's being ganked and pressured as she doesn't have good escapes. But this is a comp for K-Corp where they have all the tools to make Cabochard pop off. And for Team Phantasma, it's surviving that, right? They can mitigate the pressure that's going to come out from that mid-jungle of K-Corp, from that top lane. They have a strong team fight, but that's a big if.
Big if. And remember, again, last game, these two teams faced off. We saw that topside dive come off a lot of times, and Bako was put in the grave multiple times early on. He was playing Grey Screen Simulator for a lot of it, and that's why Orcs was saying it's a big if, because we've sometimes had some issues with K-Corp's drafting. I feel like this one's working out just fine for them. Again, it's not like Phantasma have to. They can definitely play it out. It's just they have got to survive that early top onslaught, because otherwise that Irelia gets fed and it becomes really tricky.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that really worries me. Is the last time we had this matchup, it was targeting Bako that way. And I feel like they have an even better setup to do so. The fact that it's Irelia into Gnar. And if you think about how this game will go, if we see Team Phantasma fall behind, right, you have a Jarvan Leona who will be very tanky, Xayah is very safe, a Ryze who will be quite bulky as well, then an Irelia who, realistically, if she gets ahead, you won't have the damage to kill. The Team Phantasma comp is all about resets. If you can't kill these bulky targets, you're not going to get a reset, you're not going to win. It's that simple.
I'll have this one out here as well. It's a bit of trivia from some of the casters and analysts and various members of the GLL community was saying, look, one of the issues with Team Phantasma is if they do fall behind early, they can become a bit inactive. And in this kind of comp where there's a very real possibility of that happening, honestly, when your normally dominant top laner is into a guy like Cabochard, into a comp where he can really put the screws onto that Gnar. I worry a little bit for that kind of habit of the team. If they fall out and end up becoming inactive and passive against a team like Karmine Corp, it's lights out real quick.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, that comp is a bit of a rough one because I feel like as a team who want to be playing aggressively and getting ahead, this is not the ideal composition for them. But that being said, there's windows, right? Particularly once they hit 6 with the mid jungle. If top lane hasn't been smashed by then, there's definitely opportunities for them. So I don't think it's completely doomed, but I feel like K-Corp, if we get a repeat of the previous game, it will be over so fast.
Well, eyes on those timers. Level 6 for Team Phantasma. Can they reach it on that mid and jungle without being very far behind? I agree with you there, Orcs. I think that will be the telling point, the litmus test, so to speak. And both teams now out onto the Rift. It is that first strike Jarvan again, which was point of talking for a number of analysts when it was first being brought out by Malrank, but it's becoming more and more common. And nothing super crazy happening right now at the level 1, aside from the fact that Rekkles and Hantera have managed to work their way a little bit further into lane than perhaps might be expected.
Yeah, so I feel like, you know, nothing really is going to come from this unless Team Phantasma make a mistake and off the face check. But I feel like when you have that Xayah, Leona, you should be looking to contest early, right? Especially into the Jinx, who has been nerfed. One of the big things that happened in that AD carry pool, and the reason we've seen Jinx less and less is because her early power was toned down. A little bit less range on those rockets before level 9, a little bit more mana cost.
Those are really big ones, right? The mana costs for Jinx's rockets are such a big deal about how she can control waves early, how she can manage to get the shove pretty consistently and earn that lane priority for you in the early game. Lots of AoE damage from a long way away. Sounds great as far as wave control goes, but making that more expensive, making that one a little bit more dangerous to pull off with the range decreases makes a lot of sense as to why, particularly at the moment, right before the nerfs come in, things like the Xayah with the double feathers and the lethality build so nasty right now.
Absolutely, and you know, we've seen the priority, especially with the other AD carries being toned down. She's just risen and risen. Often can outrange due to the fact you're playing around your abilities instead of just your auto attacks. Now, we've seen Team Phantasma with some good defensive wards. Ultimately, what I'm critical of is they haven't actually spotted out 113. 113 opting to go with an unleashed start. So for Team Phantasma, they don't have any information as of now as to where he's going to be, and that's concerning into a Jarvan. Jarvan is going to have a lot more ganking pressure than the Viego in the early levels, so I'm really going to be watching where 113 is going to show that impact. Expectation is top lane, but we'll see if he opts to go somewhere else earlier on and try and find setup there first.
Little note as well, this is something that I've been chatted to, of course, by none other than the Ahri aficionado, Nightmare, who says, look, there's sometimes a bit of a mind game that goes on with Ahri into things like the LeBlanc and the Ryze about, do you take minion dematerializers and does your opponent match you? Peppe has got the minion dematerializers, Ryze has not, so you can at least early on try and contest some of that wave stuff and mean that SAKEN can't get out onto the map completely for free.
Yeah, and that's a big aspect of it, right? If you can see here, the prio achieved by SAKEN means he's going to be able to move up and pair with 113. But Peppe, when you get those minion dematerializers active, it's going to help you to contest. But for now, we're already seeing that presence come out on the top side. Nikolex is expecting this. He's seen the Ryze move, so he's playing to shadow his top laner and make sure nothing untoward happens. There's a big wave stacked up, but we see K-Corp. They get a bit of information. They don't go for anything more.
You see interesting pathing there from Nikolex, so skipping the walls, skipping the Gromps, knowing they would leave him further away from his top lane and take too much time to be around. So is there to shadow and will now reverse clear back around, although perhaps stop off that Scuttle Crabbers. Sanity is in the mid lane, looking to see whether SAKEN is available to be caught, but he's playing very safely towards his Raptor Pit, so nothing too much to be found right now, as Hantera might be passing by Sanity for his own road towards the mid lane.
Yeah, and the wave's not a great spot for Peppe here. If we see a gank come out, he should just be able to finish off these minions and back away. I don't think there's any real setup. He's playing towards the top side where he has vision, where he knows his jungler is, so should just be able to comfortably get the wave crashed and then, well, not crashed, neutralized, and then go for a reset.
Indeed, as it stands thus far, nothing super crazy has happened, which is good news for Team Phantasma, as kind of by this time last game, it was already beginning to get a bit dire towards the top side. In fact, The moment I speak about it, we've got some action happening as that did miss, that flawless duet did miss. I apologize. Now hopping away. 113 is around, might not be in a spot above her as the Blades of the Rune King start coming through. And actually he's gonna get knocked up, has to flash away. He went forward for that, goes down the first blood to Cabochard of all people. Now Gnar getting charged up, and with a fully stacked passive, Bako has got nowhere to go. That flawless duet missing though. Maybe mean there's a Gnar option, flashing away, gets the double stun. Can't quite get the kill though, and Cabochard comes out of the top lane with a double. I shouldn't have said anything. I cursed it all.
You did. Now, honestly, I was about to praise Nikolex for doing a great job of supporting his top laner, right? Big wave stacked up, pushing towards K-Corp. I was like, right, this is a time where it's really easy for 1-3 to find a gank. Oh, more action bot.
More action bot does get out of the flame chompers for now, but Sanity burning down won't quite fall. Will be Ignite traded for the flash of Sanity. Is in the top side. It's another flawless duet, and he's teleported back and he's already getting shoved away. Defiant Dance chunks him out a little bit more, and that Irelia, that is the notorious old school counter into Gnar, up 10 CS, double kill, one of those is first blood. I think he got double buffs as well, of course, because Nikolex was about to donate them over. I didn't quite see. That is bad news.
Not good start. Not good start. Not quite what you're hoping for.
No.
And I feel like that's the thing, right? I think Nikolex made the right call, the right decision to come top. But critically, what ends up happening is he actually uses his W. And as a result, we see 1-3 with the confidence to go for the flag and drag. So uses his W to dash forwards. Now they know he has no dash. Goes for the combo. Honestly, Nikolex should have just flashed the combo, but is late on it. Goes down. And Bako does as much as he can. You know, he kites out the situation. He avoids the second stun from Cabochard here as well. But at the end of the day, it's just not enough. And now with this Irelia having 2 kills in pocket, you can see, look at the bullying coming out from Cabochard here.
Hantera's up here as well, and remember there's a Vanguard's Edge available for Cabochard. He's got that level 6 nice and early, so he could definitely look for it. Team Phantasma looking to maybe punish on the bot side. Rekkles, no ultimate yet, means he is prime target to be dived. They do get the root before aggro came through. Gonna get the kill. It will be a 1-for-1 though, as Sanity still falls, and Rekkles makes it an even trade.
Yeah, they aren't really able to do anything more. Sanity gets the trade kill, and they're gonna be able to deny minions to get plates, but this is what we expect from K-Corp, right? Really playing towards Irelia, doing what they did in that previous game between these two teams. And as much as it's good, Team Phantasma are getting advantages on the bot side, this top lane is going to be a problem.
It's already a 1,500 or so gold lead right now. That's only going to increase, as you can see Bako being zoned off the tower. Sanity is around to make this a 2v2, but I'm not sure you want this even then, because there's actually a double level 6 113 with the Cataclysm available. It's a big advantage. In comes the Vanguard's Edge, and Bako having to hop away. He's got no Mega available. Can't quite get close enough. SAKEN has Realm Warped in, leaving Sanity in the pit, and goes down. A third kill to Cabochard, who goes under the tower to get another double. They'll make it a shutdown as Peppe coming through, trying to dive in and get some more, but can't secure another kill. So it will at least be a shutdown that Peppe secures at that rocket. Lands! It secures a kill for Vaynedeta.
You know, honestly, with those kills coming in, not too bad for Team Phantasma. The problem is the minions missed, right? In that entire passage of play, because it was behind Team Phantasma's tier 1, the amount of minions just killed and killed and killed. Bako has fallen behind in this matchup, and I mean, look at Cabochard's Titans. He's already got a Blade of the Rune King.
In 7.5 minutes!
Oh, it's a disaster.
Just obscene. I can't believe it. All the while on the bot side, Hantera going to get rooted up, but the Featherstorm coming out will prevent any further egress forward into lane. And yes, you've got some kills onto Peppe. That's great news. Yes, you got a kill onto Vaynedeta. That's great news. But a 4-1 Irelia who can continue to shove in this top side is going to be completely impossible to deal with, it feels like. Let's have a look at this replay. Cabochard just goes all in.
Yeah, they're not quite able to finish off Bako. You can see 1-3 looking for the Cataclysm. They end up chasing down Sanity, but Cabochard, a little bit over-aggressive, knows he's probably going to go down, and so takes the extra kill. Does give that shutdown to the Ahri, but ultimately K-Corp's game here was denial. They got more kills onto the Irelia as well. And, you know, unfortunately, they end up losing out because of this ult coming down to 1-3. I think that mitigates the play a little bit from K-Corp, but they are still massively... I mean, look at the goal difference in the top lane. It's obscene.
Oh, no. Well, this is what we call investment banking, where you apparently are stealing from your opposition to come up with incredibly large leads. Just, and you know what? Look at that.
This is actually a fortunate situation that I'm on the cast, because I'm just going to say initialize that I am very experienced with these scenarios. I see this all the time in solo queue when my top player is 2,000 gold down.
You okay, buddy?
Minutes,
you need a moment.
I'm very well versed in how this goes. It's not pretty for Team Phantasma, is what I'll say on the subject.
All I'm going to say as well is there's not that many tools to make Cabochard that accountable. You've got a Nautilus and a Charm, and that's about it in some ways. It's not the easiest anti-Irelia comp, perhaps, unless they can get a Viego reset, but gonna try and turn this one around. Gonna get the Chompers down as well. That's gonna be a pretty close trade right now as Hantera trying to back up. Big root, though, means Sanity is dead and loses his mind. Gonna keep trading with Vaynedeta, who's got the rocket for misses. The heal comes out. Now Vaynedeta in trouble. Has to flash away from the Zenith Blade. And the top side is still gonna be action as Peppe flashing over. There is the Cataclysm. He's gonna force the ult out in trade. Nikolex goes in and gets the flash out of 1-1-3. SAKEN still gets the kill with a flash of his own. The rune prisons, ensuring he's going straight to jail and will not pass go and collect $200. It's $450 instead over the side of Karmine Corp.
I just find it hilarious how we keep seeing these fights past the tier 1 and like Karmine Corp, but like no one is allowed to go top. It is blocked off. You're not allowed to pick up those minions. Do not pass go. And I feel like Bako is just having such an atrocious time this game. 5-1 now for Cabochard on this Irelia. We kind of hit on this had to be the game plan for K-Corp, right? They had the tools to do so, but they had to respect Team Phantasma. If they got past level 6, if they got into the late stages, had strength. But I feel like K-Corp have done exactly as they drafted to do. Bako, the Mega Gnar times out. Look at the size of the wave as well. It's a disaster.
There's just nowhere to go. The flash into that Vanguard's edge, and there's just nothing you can do. That was lights out in a second flat.
Yeah, not a fun time. And then they keep going, right? And the fact that they're able to do so, because I think that's the thing, that Team Phantasma aren't just like allowing this to happen. They're trying to be there. They're showing up at the right timings. It just doesn't matter.
And they get the flash out of Nikolex to boot, and they can't quite secure the kill onto the Viego, but that's about the only good news story there, and that is a paltry silver lining indeed. A 0-3 Gnar into a 5-1 Irelia at 11 minutes. I've seen some solo queuing games like that, and there will be a surrender vote coming in about 4 minutes.
Yep.
Before that, though, we've got ourselves a Herald that's being started by Karmine Corp, and I don't think there's any room really where Team Phantasma can come and contest.
Yeah, and I feel like at this point, it's a little bit tricky. I think one thing to say as well is that Ahri as a champion doesn't have the highest damage when it comes to mages. You will see her do a lot of damage if she's snowballed, but like there's a lot of times where, especially if you're behind, you can't 100-0 target, right? And she's Team Phantasma's only AP threat. Irelia, her W reduces income and physical damage while it's up, right? And so as a result, I feel like this Irelia is going to be a very, very, very hard target to kill, so...
Unless you combo with everybody else, you're never going to get that kill. I completely agree. The Ahri is not going to get that 100-0 with the game state as it is. And a long way off anything like a Majari's build, as some people have started terming it. And that's kind of where it's at.
Well, you know, at least Team Phantasma, right? The early game's kind of rough. At least if they get a kill on the Irelia, then Nikolex gets to be the 5-1 super fed Irelia. That's the upside, right?
There's the upside. I appreciate you finding an upside because I was struggling. So there you have it. There is an upside. Kill the Irelia. You can steal the Irelia and use her items. I like to call it
a copper lining because a silver lining is a little bit too generous. I kind of stick with that one. We see Nikolex trying to make things happen, moving around.
I love the copper lining as well because that would make it conductive, right? And it would be a shocking result if you did come back in and make that turnaround happen. So it's got multiple levels here.
Yeah, a lot of death.
Still there.
It looks like we're getting a dive in the boss side.
Try and go for it. There'll be a teleport right back out. 1-1-3. Still not going to be a problem there as Rekkles avoids the flash dredge line with the Featherstorm, and that is dive called off. A little more to write home about. Burn a few summoners and nothing more.
And we see, while all this is happening, Cabochard is proxy farming the wave. So things haven't got better top. But I like the K-Corp bot spreading the advantages around, right? They're looking to establish pressure bot. That tower's already low for Team Phantasma. So trying to hammer away there. And as much as they didn't get anything there other than the TP, does mean that next time they make their play should be easier. Now they're looking towards that mid lane tier 1.
I think we might need to change the emote names. I think Peppe might be turning into Sag pretty shortly, but he will eventually be able to get out of dodge. Has one more Spirit Rush available, but in the mid lane, SAKEN took a lot of tower shots, has to go golden, and maybe there's an opportunity to turn things around. Nikolex will secure that shutdown, and big moment there in some ways. A feel-good moment. We've not had many of those to write home about for Team Phantasma in recent minutes, but Rekkles might be looking for the 1v1 flashes, the flame choppers, and that's why he's an EU legend, gets a kill onto the opposing AD carry.
Absolutely. You actually look, Vaynedeta's flash is up. It literally just came up as Rekkles ended up flashing in there. Super close to him being able to get away, but fortunately isn't able to do so. And now, despite the fact your team makes a comeback play in the mid lane, you're losing out, but Rekkles in the 1v1 going to be able to get that kill and take this tower solo.
Tower platings have fallen, but this will still be first turret. The gold deal at the top of your screen, I don't think it really needs any further elucidation. You can see it. Pretty
somewhat large.
Yes, somewhat large. Mountainous, some may call it.
Reasonably massive, yeah. I think the problem is now...
What defines reasonably massive? What's unreasonably massive?
I feel like unreasonably massive would be like... Maybe like 10k at this point would be unreasonably massive. You know, this is pretty massive, but, you know, we've seen crazier.
There's to be a Vanguard's Edge, and that is an unreasonable amount of damage.
That is definitely an unreasonable amount of damage. You know, that's a crazy thing, Irelia, right? She's got so much sustain damage, but then she will just 100 to 0 in a split second. I feel kind of bad for Bako at this point. But, I mean, K-Corp just trying to repeat what they did in that first matchup.
Vaynedeta does have flash this time, so we'll be able to get out of the Cataclysm, but it's now burned. In come the rest of Team Phantasma, try and turn this around, but SAKEN is here alongside the rest of it, but they're trying to get the reset. 1-1-3 survives, but now into the backline goes Hantera. Nikolex gets the killing spree, but can he get out? Vaynedeta trying to survive, heal his way up, SAKEN under the tower. Will help secure that one. It's Hantera who gets the kill, secured all the same. It is a 2-for-1 in favor of Karmine Corp. It's not done yet. Peppe throws out the Everfrost, but will get rooted in turn by that rune prison. Into the waiting arms of Karmine Corp goes Nikolex and Cabochard on a killing spree. I believe that's his 7th kill of the game. Peppe gets a charm, but he just doesn't have the damage waiting on this flawless duet. Cabochard won't look to flash or anything else like that. And it's just another massive win for Karmine Corp, who are now 8,000 gold in the lead.
Yeah, this is feeling like an unreasonably massive gold lead now. I feel like I respect Team Phantasma for going for it, right? They try and get the kill on the 1-1-3, who is a little bit over-aggressive. Oh my god. Oh my god, I feel like...
I am sorry you had to witness that, ladies and gentlemen.
I get it.
That's actually upsetting to see on your screen.
Hey, you know, what I'll say is... At least Team Phantasma have some scaling elements. The worst is when you have a composition like this that falls behind this far, and then it's like you're doomed for the whole game. But, you know, 1-1-3 overstepped there. They got the kill. They weren't quite able to turn it into anything more. Critically, Peppe wasn't there on the Ahri to get resets from the Spirit Rush. But it's a big if, right? I feel like this is almost certainly going to be a K-Corp win. But if there's oversteps from K-Corp, that's where Team Phantasma have their best chance. And if they don't overstep too much, then, yeah, I guess this is K-Corp going to 3-1 in the group.
It feels like it, as Cabochard maybe about to end up in a 1v3. Sanity,
I don't know if that's enough.
Flash. I'm going to get in range. No, Cabochard just gets to walk away. Irelia's best movement speed, remember, guys, is pretty quick. She's not that slow. She's got 2 items plus boots complete.
Shield bow as well. I feel like...
I'm playing Rune King.
Not sure that was enough people, I'm going to be real. Just the 2 coming, the 3 coming in there, yeah.
Oh, mid lane turret falls as well. That's another tier 2. It's the 4th of the game for Karmine Corp. Up to that 9,000 gold mark. 17 minutes into the game. SAKEN got a wave shoved in and prepped for the rest of his team in this bot side. So they might try and make it too, but it doesn't look like they want to really hard commit to this. Instead, thinking about going towards that Ocean Drake that spawned, and Hantera and 1-1-3 are hanging around, and makes this Ahri's life a little bit precarious.
Yeah, isn't it easiest dive? Obviously, if you can get the point and click CC from the Ryze, would be able to.
Mega Gnar's timed out, and Bako, does manage to try and get out of this one. Flashes away from the flawless drip, but it's just going to lose to the autos. There is the Immortal Shield Bow pop, and I think Cabochard, this time he's gone too deep, you would think. Takes a lot of damage, healing up for a long time, finally shut down, and they do manage to gift it over to Vaynedeta.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a
you'll
1
take
for 1,
that.
but that's a big shutdown, right? Nice you take that.
A lot of gold, you get the flash as well from the Irelia, so, you know, a big influx towards Team Phantasma. If they get that like 7 more times, then that's when we're talking. Ultimately, I think Cabochard is a little bit over-aggressive, but still, K-Corp massively ahead. They're going to secure the 2nd dragon here, and, you know, again, here are the silver linings. 1, it does look like Nikolex is going to be able to secure that Herald if no one comes to contest anytime soon. And secondly, they do have a dragon in the bag, so it's still going to be a while before the soul comes in for K-Corp.
All the while, of course, they did secure that dragon, did Karmine Corp. They did secure, they're going to try and teleport, and they're going to try and contest this. Cabochard has the teleport. That will be the objective bounty secured. But now Nikolex is in so much danger. They will contest. They will get the kill. They lose the Herald, of course, but Team Phantasma, there is just nothing for free on this map right now.
Uh-oh.
I'm thinking about it. Just gonna try and time out.
Okay,
Both recalls cancelled.
I was thinking maybe they'd go for some craziness over the wall, but no, it just stops the recalls. Get some first strike gold as well. But ultimately here, you know, Team Phantasma, it's still 9 minutes until Keiko can have a soul. They denied that second Herald. These are minor positives. The 1,000 cold shutdown was a big thing, but ultimately K-Corp's still very much in control. And they're fishing, right? You can see them setting up potential traps, trying to find angles to look for dives. But for the time being, Team Phantasma still holding on. And we've actually just passed it. So the fastest game we had in E-Masters Spring was K-Corp against Team Phantasma's first game, 1923. So Team Phantasma are doing better.
They have held on longer.
They're doing better than that time. So that's the positive you want to take away from this one.
You take that. Yes, there's a little bit of hysteria setting in, but kind of deserved. Just look at the game state. What do? You hold on for 3 items is what you do, I suppose. That shutdown, and to bring it back down to perhaps that copper lining, as you call it. 2 items are on Jinx, courtesy, largely, of course, of that shutdown that was gifted over to Vaynedeta. That's something, but you're looking for a 3rd item. You're looking for 2 on Ahri,
honestly,
2 probably on Nikolex, and hoping at that point.
Honestly, I actually feel like you need 4, which I mean that's a big ask. But
okay?
I feel like you need Lord Doms because everyone has so much armor already. Apart from Rekkles, who obviously he's very hard to kill due to his ult. Like there's so much armor and SAKEN in 113, Hantera's Leona, so it's a given, and Cabochard is building a death stance. So I feel like you need Lord Doms, but you also need IE. So like, the wild to go.
That's a lot of gold. They'll summon the Herald in mid lane to maybe get this one to shove in. I'm not sure you get much more, as 113 will find Nikolex, or perhaps vice versa.
I seen Irelia moving. This guy's just not worth it. Let the Herald go.
4v3, and Irelia's about to turn that to make a 4v4. Nikolex goes unstoppable, will not be able to reset, gets out for now, but Cabochard's coming to the backline. Will just goes the wide. Peppe rooted up, and look at the mid lane as already we've had 1 fall. It'll be 2nd to fall shortly after a double, of course, to Cabochard's Irelia, who has been dominating from minute 1. They'll turn right back to the Baron. They've got 2 items on pretty much everybody that matters. And a Blade of the Ruin King Irelia, this Baron is not long for the world.
Yeah, I don't think there's really too much they can do in this situation. Baron secured by K-Corp, that's going to be a tool they need to keep pushing forwards. I mean, I understand the sentiment from Team Phantasma. You have the Herald going to push it in. I think you should have just let it go. You could see when the solo laners start to collapse in, this felt really scary. And then suddenly you have the Irelia turning up. Nikolex is already so low in HP, so it's not like he can get any resets. And then we also have SAKEN realm warping in. I honestly feel like the fact they only lost 2...
it's almost impressive.
Could have been worse. Could have been worse. All things considered.
Well, when that is the won't call it the best case scenario, but a good case scenario, perhaps. That tells you how dire straits the game is in right now for Team Phantasma, Karmine Corp. They have an 11-2 Irelia who didn't lose any health in that last fight. They've got a 3rd item, they've got the Death Dance, they've got a stopwatch, they've got a stopwatch on 113 as well. There's a stopwatch on Hantera. There is just so much safety, so much healing, so much damage, so much levels, map control, everything you care to mention right now. And now a Baron on top of it. They're pushing in every way from Team Phantasma. It's looking like it's about to all drift away in a matter of moments. They'll get a hook onto Cabochard, goes get chunked down, but goes golden. They can't secure the kill. 113 is not going to be able to get too much, but the Vanguard Judge lands and Cabochard secures 2. He's got a double. He can keep going in. He's got a triple now. Peppe maybe will fall next. Won't quite get there. Cabochard will not be able to secure any more of a multi-kill right now. He's hunting for more if he can. They're trying to hunt it. He does fall down, and hopes of a pentakill, perhaps in Cabochard's mind, won't come through. But that is now a 14-kill Irelia in 23 minutes. And with everybody dead, they could just shove in and look to end it. What a performance from the top laner of Karmine Corp.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely monster performance. The team knew they had to set up for him, and they absolutely did. Rekkles solo killing Bako as well at the back end of that one. Team Phantasma, not sure there's much they can do, but they'll at least try.
They're going to try. They've got a Nexus turret that falls, and now only a Nexus itself. They will hold on best they can, but Karmine Corp are content to play with their food. In goes Sanity, but he's lost his. Earlier on into this game, it is a whitewash, and Karmine Corp move to 3-1.
But they got an extra 4 minutes out of it, so Team Phantasma doing a bit more, but unfortunately...
Sort of.
Yeah, I mean, and with this game, this is Team Phantasma no longer able to move on. They won't be able to make it to the knockout stage. As obviously, first in the group is X7, who already have 3 wins. They can't catch up with that. They can only get to 2 and 4 as a scoreline. And K-Corp now own the head-to-head and have 3 points. So, again, no way they can catch up now, which is a little bit sad. But Team Phantasma, you lasted a bit longer. It just, I feel like the game plan wasn't there. And K-Corp did what they did last game as well.
They really did, and this time, honestly, with an even crazier counterpick matchup, the Irelia and Gnar is a notorious one, and they get it rolling, and there is no stopping that boulder once it starts going downhill, and Karmine Corp came out very heavily on top there in pretty explosive fashion, and it does mean we have to bid adieu to Phantasma's dreams of getting out of the group stage, but of course, they can still pull an Atleto, they can still pull that blue shell, and that's kind of what they've got to go towards, if they can.
Yeah, so absolutely can, and I feel like that's something we can keep an eye on as we go on. I know, as I said earlier, sometimes teams who have got knocked out, suddenly they feel a lot more relaxed. So we'll see if they can bring out some upsets.
Alas, though, that will be it from us for now. We've got to cut to a quick break, but when we come back, we'll have Gamer Legion versus X7 Esports, Prime League #1 versus NLC #1. Don't go anywhere. It's going to be an absolute banger. See you in a few.